There's a debate circulating online as to whether these new graphics from Overwatch are AI or human made. So the pieces in question are 3 sprays, which these are 2 of them posted by Juno Updates OW. This is the esports pose spray. So technically this is 1 spray, but there's like 2 chibis. This is of Venture and Juno, 2 characters in Overwatch. And in the comments, people are 50-50. Some people think it's AI, saying not the AI piss tint. Other people are saying people just be saying AI at kind of bad art these days. The absolute state of gamers, man. So I feel like, again, when it comes to determining if something is AI or not, you really have to look at all art pieces together instead of just like one piece, because it's always a bit hard to tell just off of one. And again, let me add, don't send hate to any parties involved. A big one off the bat is the accuracy to the character design. So this is Venture's character featuring a chipped tooth and then featuring these goggles with an earpiece. Closer up, Venture also has an eyebrow piercing and this neck tattoo, and all of those elements are present in the character design. Juno as well has the notable hair color with some pink in it. And again, the hair completely matches up. Some things that could be interesting, but it's just like, artist choice. Here, they both have a kind of like little wing in the bottom corner of their eyeliner, and there's a wing here. They're not necessarily going in the same direction. This one's definitely very up. This one's kind of to the side. But you could just argue it's like maybe a head angle because Venture has their head turned. People were citing one of the things as the eyes being different, as even though these two are rendered in the same style, for the most part, the 2 eyes are drawn pretty differently. As in, the iris for Venture has a very strong ring around it of black, and Juno's eyes just completely lack that. And then also Juno has one iris in the inner corner, so there's no gap between the iris and the black eyeliner, but then there is this white gap here that is present in the left eye that Venture doesn't have in either of their eyes. And then a final thing where it's kind of like, oh, this is interesting, is they both have 3 fingers. Now, when your arms are crossed, it could be like a design choice. Maybe one of the fingers is hidden, or maybe for design reasons, because it's a chibi and detail is a little bit hard to come across, the artist made the choice just to use 3 fingers instead of 4 for more clarity. One thing is also you can look at other works, other chibi works that Overwatch has posted. This is another spray of Venture, but in this spray, Venture has 4 fingers, even though it is also a very like chibi-esque style, although it's a different style. But it's always hard to tell because this, at the end of the day, these are chibis. So chibis have a pretty simplified structure in their design. So there's not very like, oh, glaring necessarily elements as to why one is AI or one isn't. I think one final thing with Juno is that the back of the hair is drawn on top of the face instead of behind. Here is another photo of Juno, and you can see Juno has these like short side bangs and then a short hair cropped in the back. And you can see that in this piece here, the back of the hair is actually drawn onto the cheek. So it's kind of like curving against her face. But again, it could just be like human error because that's completely normal. But again, it could just be like a choice the artist made in the way they drew it that people are overly scrutinizing. But here is a viral tweet about it posted by user Space Rocks Canon, where they write, "I'm effing sorry." And this is the Venture and Juno post. Now, this likely is not referencing the AI, but referencing the fact that Venture and Juno together is a popular ship in Overwatch. But people in the comments are again like, oh, it looks like AI. Are these AI like deadass? Now, this is the other spray. Now, this is of Wuyang in Overwatch. And this is the spray that the most people have been commenting on. And it reads, Overwatch is absolutely using AI. Look at the eyes. So here we have a spray of Wuyang, and this is Wuyang kind of playing on a computer. The computer also has the Overwatch logo. Interestingly, it also has the little like copyright logo in the corner, which is blurred out. And there's 2 folds to this again, right? Here we have Juno, a character in their outfit that's found in Overwatch, and it is completely accurate to the lore with the wristlet, etc., the clothing, the necklace. Although interestingly, the jade is like on the chest, as in Wuyang has a red cord that he wears the pendant around, and then you can see a gap, and then you have his clothing. Whereas this one, the jade is kind of built straight into the neckline. But this could have been artist choice due to the fact that it's a chibi to simplify the story. People in the comments were pointing out other things that were a bit suspicious, like the fact the mouse cable connects to nothing. This, again, because it's a chibi, could have been a design choice because drawing cable management may clutter up the way the piece looks. One thing that's interesting as well is the hands, as in this hand has 4 fingers instead of 5. You can completely argue that it's just the angle of the hand, the pinky wouldn't be visible. Other people were mentioning in the comments the keyboard and how the keyboard looks like a bar of chocolate with 2 rows of keys instead of the standard that you could find for a keyboard, which would be like 5. Benefit of doubt, it's a chibi, so maybe the artist took creative liberty in not drawing every single key because it would look kind of muddy, and they just did 2 rows just to give it the impression that it looks like a keyboard from far away. And the spray was also posted to r/thisisaI, where you can see another commenter writes, "When I look at the computer accessories, I get a huge ick. The smile, the eyes, and the proportions all look very wrong to me. It doesn't fit their internal styling for chibi portraits. Here's Juno for example." And this is a chibi portrait in the same style as the Venture one I showed you. Part of me thinks the Wuyang spray you showed was initially generated by AI, then touched up by an artist to be more consistent, with colors and cleaned up lines. It looks incredibly half-assed and it has the AI stink. Edit, my reasoning. They are on a super tight deadline to get content out. A new character with new sprays and content needs to be done pronto. So having an AI generate a close resemblance to a character and correcting it is a good way to flip that art in a few hours, as opposed to coming up with a concept, lining it, coloring it, and all that fun stuff, which would take more time. A commenter really went in saying, why would there be a trademark on their own sticker? The Overwatch logo on the back of the screen. The shadow on the neck looks awkward no matter where I try to draw a relation from. The keyboard has 14 equally sized keys. You'd think a spacebar or an enter key would be prominent to make it look different from any kind of soundboard. The highlights prominent on the left side of his hair also appear on the right side, on top of the darker, hard shadow. Personally, I think the eyebrows don't match the vicious expression of his eyes and mouth that is a personal impression of mine. That's not how anybody grabs a mouse, not even a chibi with 5 fingers. The artwork of the champion I can find shows him with a metallic feature on his left arm, the longer glove. Where did that go? Apparently he wears some kind of miniature banner as an earring on his left earlobe. The artist made sure that it's extra small, never to be seen as an in-game detail, and even when zoomed in, it looks more like 2 sheets of paper or cloth, or even a feather, than one single banner. Honestly, I don't know if it's AI, but it does look messy. OP adds that it's probably due to the fact the sprays are for the Overwatch League, so they added the logo to brand the spray. Another commenter adds, the shadow on the neck looks consistent with the idea of the neck having a pencil neck sticking forward, and it's only being indicated with the shadow. The keyboard thing is kind of silly. I don't know anybody who draws in this small of a format that would include every key of a keyboard, or focus on a spacebar with a limited view about it. Highlights can work on top of shading in context that is a more contrasting area of light and shadow. The eyebrow thing is personal preference. My hand resting on my mouse looks like 4 fingers on top, not sure why people think this hand is so weird to begin with. And they understand the other hand with object permanence, you might not be able to say a finger. The banner earring and some sort of the promo art looks like it's blowing in the wind, to the effect it almost looks like a small sword. I think it was the same effect being applied, and the fact it's so small could be because it was an afterthought, an almost overlooked detail added at the end. Other people are adding, it doesn't give AI vibes to me. It's really just a stylized drawing. Sometimes humans draw wonky things, especially when translating complicated designs into smaller, cuter proportions. The earring that's invisible probably shouldn't be, but as an artist, it's one of those choices I would make, then get too committed to. Another user, Nako, adds, you guys are way too comfortable calling art AI. If I was this artist, I would be so upset. Overwatch has an anti-AI stance too. Another commenter, Viper, adds, Blizzard has already used AI in the Chinese version of the game. They've also commissioned sprays before, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case here, and the person they commissioned used AI to assist. So this is the piece in question. This is for the Loverwatch event. It released in China only. And the characters that were involved, Diva is one of them, they all got like super updated, pretty art, essentially, to kind of go along with it. So this graphic is, I guess, highlighting elements that look suspicious. Here is the hairband where it's on top of the hair, not going under. AI can do that. It could also be artist error where they drew the headband and they just forgot to add some more hair to blend it in. This one is just a bit interesting where you have the sides of the eyeliner and they're different. Like the wing on the right eye is not the same as the left eye. And then you could argue maybe it's like the head perspective or whatever, but they are different. This one is the notable one with the earring. There's an extra ball on the right ear that isn't present in the left ear. And then here the shirt collar is like detached. There's a gap between the shirt collar and the neckline. So in the comment section of this, some people were just feeling like it's AI. Other people were like, dude, this is human error, chill out. And then Juno, the person of the other post, writes, if I'm wrong, I'll take down the post. However, I'm very concerned they are and would like some transparency on how these are made. There's too many weird details not present in other artwork of a similar style, and it's concerning to me. So Nako ran the artwork through a generator that says not likely to be AI generated or deepfake. And Nako writes, it's because it's not always the same artist making the sprays. What if it was made by somebody that just started at Blizzard? I know this is not 100% accurate, but I just wish that people would be a bit more kind and have artists in mind when accusing so freely. Juno adds, using AI websites doesn't actually prove anything. And even if it's a new artist, why are they clipping the back hair with the cheek? Which is what I mentioned. The back hair is like on top of the face. This is a really weird error. I doubt would make it into the finished game if it wasn't AI. Nako adds, did you miss the part when I said it's not 100% accurate? There is weird stuff, yes, but we don't know if it's because of human error or not. And my whole point is that you can be nicer about it instead of going, this is AI, when there's no 100% proof. And Juno adds that they weren't expecting the post to gain traction and they would have changed their wording if they knew. but they just want transparency. And Neko adds that that's completely fair and they just want to foster an environment that doesn't accuse artists, but instead asks, so no one feels intimidated if they make human errors. And that I honestly completely agree with because on one hand, like it absolutely sucks to see people trying to pass AI works off as legitimate, but especially when it's a big company, when artists already aren't getting jobs as it is, etc., and their work is being stolen, and to have a big company with the budget to hire artists just make the choice to not do it. So I completely agree in that more transparency is just needed. And if it is human made, dude, the artist is probably going through it right now because Twitter is tearing apart the art. And again, looking at the works, there are elements that are, they're different, right? Again, we have three chibis in the same style, except the eye is drawn different in every single piece. This one versus this eye versus this eye. It could be a situation where you have multiple artists being told to, I don't know, make us like work on this new style. And they all kind of like added their own sense into the piece and it just ended up looking a little different like this. Or it could have been AI. Without proof, you don't know, right? You can't say without it. So there was a reference about Overwatch having an anti-AI stance, and this is about another situation. This is posted by Quality K7. This isn't the original tweet because it was tweeted out by Overwatch, but this is the graphic. So it was promoting a U2's plush, the cutest companion for your gaming sessions. And we have a cute plush here, but look at the background of Genji, Tracer, and Diva. And people were saying that this looks very AI. Diva has this like weird pink thing on her chest instead of her actual like outfit design, and there's what looks to be rips in her clothing. I wonder what type of model was trained on for that art piece. Like Genji's outfit is also really wonky, and people were saying Tracer's face looks like nightmare fuel. So this was posted by Flats Overwatch, and this whole situation happened a month ago, August 7th. Flats writes, I'm guessing the Overwatch tweet was a graphic provided by U2's and no one caught the background. I refuse to believe the Overwatch team would be okay with AI art in any form. Sucks that it snuck past. AI is becoming more and more common and harder to identify, and brands who don't care can damage ones that do. So Overwatch adds, we appreciate that the community brought this to our attention as it was missed before being posted. This came from Blizzard's e-commerce vendor. We expect images such as this to be artist-made in alignment with our policy. We've informed them of this policy. The post has been deleted. And Flat says that it seems like an honest mistake. W response. And then Austin, the co-founder and CEO of U2's, writes, just to clarify, U2's made the plush for Blizzard, but we didn't make any assets, including the graphic they posted. We have a great team of real people that create awesome artwork. I'm not sure why they posted that, and we reached out to ask for more clarity. So somebody asked for clarification as to whether Blizzard was slandering them. And Austin says, I think they just worded it poorly, which is why I replied to help clarify. The e-commerce vendor is legends.net. But besides that, Overwatch has allegedly posted AI works in the past. This is a post posted by Overwatch LATAM, and they add, we want to know how you spend your carnival. This is posted February 10th, 2024, so a year and a half ago. And it's Diva making a peace sign on the beach. AI generated people in the background, allegedly. But we have a arm, a leg, and another leg here kind of disembodied behind Diva's arm. This person has a leg that's like broken and an ankle that's broken, more wonky legs, just a lot of like wonky legs. This is a single leg, right? There's a pair. Whose leg is this? Whose leg is this? Also, this is another leg. And then a bunch of like disembodied heads floating around over here. And the top comment says, that's not how depth of field works, but good effort trying to blur that AI abomination of a crowd. Pro tip, since you clearly need it, let the artist do the art. There was also this post by Diablo. Find to see if you can Diablo Immortal and play Hearthstone coming soon. And July 21st, 2025, this is posted by Twitter user Pyre. Pyre says, just to name a few, disgusting. Guess $158 board pets aren't enough to pay a proper artist to draw the announcement piece, LMAO. And this is the graphic, and it says AI generated. So here we have somebody playing Hearthstone, and their ear has two cartilage pieces. People have one, not two. And there's like another hole here. The ear is just weird. There's a phantom bump on the cards. The cards are also different sizes, which is interesting. The hand here is like fading and melting into the wall. The card is also mirrored, and the words are all scrubbed off the card. There's food on the plate, and then next to it is bread directly on the table, or it looks like yams. Then this character has the moon on their head melting into their face. Their facial markings are also running over their eyebrows. The logo of Hearthstone, the swirl, is mirrored. So one is swirling one way, and the other one is swirling the other way. In the same two cards, they couldn't get the swirl the same. There's a candle with no fire. It's like a point. On the board, there is a card, and the card looks like somebody scribbled over it. And then here they have odd detailing on the chess piece. A commenter adds, disgusting. You realize the artist they hired could have easily been the one trying to pass AI off as their own. And Paya responds, so there's no QA at Blizzard? No one took a single look at the picture before approving it? I don't know if that's better, not gonna lie. So, at the end of the day, unless the original artist or Blizzard comes out to make a statement about the piece, we'll never know, right? AI art is honestly just getting harder and harder to spot, especially chibi work, because chibi work is so condensed into a small area that the designs are limiting. The details you can add are limited, so artists will make deliberate choices to simplify details to not make it look as cluttered, which could be why the keyboard only has 2 rows instead of the standard 5 or more, right? Depending on what keyboard you use. But on the flip side of the coin, bad actors who try to pass AI work off as their own sometimes will make the choice to use chibi AI work to try to pass off because of its simplified design. They think they can kind of get away with it. I'm curious as to your thoughts as to whether those sprays are AI or not. Please be respectful because, again, at the end of the day, without any confirmation, you really have an assumption and you don't have like concrete proof. But we do have situations where the LATAM page for Overwatch has posted AI, and Blizzard's other titles have used AI in the work as well, like in that Diablo piece. So while Overwatch may have a solid stance against AI, there have been some situations kind of floating around. There is an update for the Overwatch alleged AI spray. So there's this tweet written September 19th, posted by Overwatch Calvary, writing, "New Overwatch sprays are not AI generated." It cites an article from Kotaku, where in the article, written by Kenneth Shepard on the same day, you can see it says, well, we asked Blizzard if this is the case, and the company says both sprays were made by a human artist. In the comment section, people are still 50-50, which is really interesting. A lot of people are saying, yo, AI steals from real artists, so it is completely believable and plausible that there's human artists whose styles have been yoinked, and thus why the piece may look quote-unquote like AI. And the other boat are still a bit skeptical because the actual artist has not been named in this case, and there's likely probably a big reason why, right? With the public scrutiny about the work going around. But people are stating that without the actual artist coming out, they're still skeptical. So at the end of the day, I'm curious about your thoughts on the situation. Do you think the sprays are AI generated or at least AI assisted? Or do you think it's 100% human made? And again, please be respectful if you share your opinions. If you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers like emotes and overlays. I also have a coffee with free resources like a free sponsorship guide, and I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch you guys there or in another video.